Okay, so we started this morning trying to get this thing going, and this game. Okay, hold on a sec. So we started this morning trying to get this thing going, and this game. Okay, hold on a sec. So we started this morning trying to get this thing going, and this game. Okay, hold on a sec. So we started this morning trying to get this thing going, and
What the hell?
this game. Okay, hold on a sec. So we started this morning trying to get this thing going, and
What the hell?
test. Okay, I think we're okay now. Right. So what happened? So this morning we spent probably an hour and a half coding and an hour and a half debugging. Finally, I ended the stream because things were just getting out of hand with trying to build a Cocos2d-x, the actual game itself, because of dependencies and references were just not there. So I went ahead and did the right thing, which is to actually follow their installation steps, which made a big difference. It downloaded all the dependencies. Now I created a test game, and it seems to be running fine. So now we can go ahead and work. But I'm just going to use this test game for now. I was going to create a new project with the names that I wanted, like the solution name and project name I wanted. I can rename these, I guess, but it takes a long time to compile. Compilation for this solution took, I would say, 25 to 30 minutes. These libraries that are referenced within the solution, libspine, spine, LibreCast, Cocos2d, and Box2d, those took a really long time to build. So I'm not going to create a new solution. And how that actually works is Cocos has a command line tool, and you can create a brand new game, and you can say the language you want, the directory you want, and it'll just start the project, create the project, all the source code files, and just a hello world scene to prove that it worked. So we have this hello world scene. Yeah, as long as I don't build the other projects, we're good. So I haven't done too much with this. I guess there's a button to actually close, and this is the button here. But I'm going to go ahead and exclude these guys from the project, and I am going to include, I think we had game menu. I'm going to open up my old solution because I had some code typed out already. So I'm going to bring that up and then at least get up to speed where we left off. So we've got open. Awesome. second. It's kind of loud. All right. So this is the game we were working on. We had this, and this. I'm going to copy those. And I'm going to put them in. Open in File Explorer. So I'm going to go up Test Classes, dump my classes in here, and I will drag my CPPs across to SRC, and I will drag our headers also to there. I guess we don't have a header folder in here. These are the filters or the virtual folders that Cocos2d scaffolding created for this empty game project. So I won't do too much there, at least for now. I want to actually see some stuff work. And resources, yeah, game RC, that actually is nothing important. We can move our resources across later. Now, I already declared an app delegate, and it had the did finish, the did enter, and the will return back to the foreground. Destructor, constructor, and this OpenGL context attributes, that should be fine. However, let's go to the app delegate. So I know we're going to use the simple audio engine. So I'm going to uncomment out this this preprocessor definition to define like it's really like a macro, but just think of it as a variable with the value 1. So use simple audio. Simple audio is good enough. This will run background music and sound effects on, I don't know, 100+ channels. So that's plenty. Okay, so we got the simple audio engine going. And in the destructor, it's going to kill the audio engine. That's great. Because you may have actual audio running, and then if your game crashes or you close your game, you want to make sure you end all of the running audio. Okay. We'll leave that, and application did finish launching. Okay. So we have our director. We got to initialize our OpenGL view, so we'll leave that. If not GL view, okay, so we'll leave that. We should not, I don't think we're going to have a problem with that. We definitely want to turn on frames per second, so we'll leave this. This is actually really similar to what we already had. Set design resolution to design resolution width. Design resolution width and height. So that's our design resolution. It's pretty small. Yeah, that's pretty small. But that's fine. We'll leave that for now. Okay. Right. So where did we leave off? So I might just comment this out. Actually, I might just leave that. You know what? This is the important thing. I just want to turf this. And we want to start loading up our game menu. So when our game starts up, we'll have a menu where we can choose what we want to do. So game menu, we're going to have to include our game menu so we can refer to it. And let's go ahead and game menu. And we had a member function. Was it just scene? Let's go back. Init scene. We could use their convention, which is like create scene, but in this I didn't do it. That it doesn't really make a difference. Okay, so we've got our scene. Awesome. Run with scene. Okay, so let's just look at what was put in for us. We'll just leave this. If the game goes into the background, you pause all sound effects and music, and if it comes out of the background into the foreground, so it has focus, we resume the sound, and that's fine. And I do have MP3 files that we'll include later. So now we're referencing game scene, game menu scene. I'm going to open that up. Res image loading. I better copy and actually resources. So these are the resources that were supplied by Cocos2d's automatic project creation tool. But let me, clearly I don't know how to delete. Okay, I have on the old project, I'm looking at it on the other screen. We didn't get very far, but I certainly want to get out our resource files. So I'll move those across. Okay. I'm not too happy about that. And that may be true because I'm boot camping Windows on my iMac and I didn't really designate a lot of space. So I'll cut them from the old location and paste them. Wow. Actually, I'm going to look here. I literally don't have any space. I don't have space. Let me open up Steam. And I may actually turf some games just to give us some more space. What do I want to turf? Yeah, that game is gone. Unstoppable Gorg. I've got Elder Scrolls Skyrim Special Edition. It's a bit of a pig. I'll uninstall that. We want to make games, not play them. Let's hope we got 14 gigs free now. Sweet. Okay. Good news. Now, where was I? So, good. So this is our resource folder. I just want to, so test, classes, resources, image loading. Okay, so let's give this a shot, see how far we get. All right, well, we got something. We've got something. So the scene, game menu create. Let's just see if this got called. So we'll have to explicitly call init. So let me just look at where I left off in the old code here. And let's just see. Game menu create, yeah. Scene layer. App delegate. Let's just have a look. I just want to have a peek here. So, hello world scene. Call create scene, create. Dun, dun, dun. Game menu. Init. I may have made a mistake by not saying virtual. And the reason being, let's just try this again. Didn't seem to make a difference. I might drag in just to get us going. Let's just have a peek at hello world. Create scene, create. Close callback. And where the heck are you? I'm going to drag that over in the other screen because it's virtual bool init. That's fine. Implement the static create method. So we're going to need this. I think it had a different name back in the day. So create and hello world. So in this case, create and our class game menu. So this will be a macro to inline some code. It's going to create our create function. Our type will be passed, so it's just going to make a create function for game menu, and all this will just, where you see this double underscore type, it'll just replace what we passed in, which was our type, right? We passed in game menu. Right. Create scene, create, return create. I think we're going to need to call create. So our scene, are we calling create? We're calling create. Yeah, we are. Okay, let's try. Okay, so I needed that macro. So it just simply makes our create method for us, which we're calling right here. So if we actually stepped into this, we would go into that inlining that was provided for us here. So anyway, it's kind of helpful that they provide these macros to allow us to create these functions that are required pretty much on every, I assume on every node type. It's saying such as layer you need to have a create, but I assume it'll be on scene and anything that extends the node base class, which most of this seems to. But we'll figure it out as we bump into it. It looks like they have something to create properties too. I don't know if I want to kind of go too balls deep into Cocos-Matic. A lot of this stuff I think we can do without having to follow their lead. But I shouldn't talk because last video that got me in trouble, where I thought I could just create the project and reference libraries. Anyway. Okay, null pointer exception, definitely that's a problem. That's an assertion and a runtime error. So CC node, I guess we're having some problems here during create. So let's go ahead and this is our add child. Let's step up the stack here. So our add child. What was my issue? Exception thrown, read access. Child was null pointer. Yeah, and we've got this assert called. Argument must be non-nil. Okay. Okay. So let's go back. So let's do this. Let's restart this. So it's not resolving the background. So I've got an issue here. So let's just look at hello world. And since I'm using the same folder structure, they just simply called it directly the images. So let's go ahead and try that. So loading.png. So loading.png. And I'm going to make sure that that is there. So do we have loading? I thought I copied everything. I must have been really out of space when I moved this stuff, because I do not, unless I need to resolve down in images. Yeah, loading images. What is it, backslash for Windows, right? Or does / work? So we got an issue. Why am I not resolving that properly? So std background. I might actually step into that. I can't move my. I can't remove my. I just want to see how it's resolving. Oh, backslash, backslash. I guess I better escape that. Let's try that again. Okay. Init with file name. Add image file name. Let's F12 into that. So there's now something called file utils. I wasn't aware of that. And clearly this has to be initialized properly. I might jump into that. Is absolute path? No. Is it already cached? No. Get the file name, so we'll probably be jumping down to here. Get new file name, file name. Put another breakpoint right there anyway. File name, lookup dictionary find. And if this starts giving me problems, I'm just going to go to the API documentation on Cocos, and there must be a quick way of setting the default directory and using that file util class that they work with. So nothing changed. I don't know if my function keys are working. I think I have to. So step over. I want to see now, search path array. So it's looking in IC. So this is the root path where the executable was placed. I want to add more to that though. I'm not happy with just having that as a path. File name, resolution search. Might just drop a breakpoint in there. And let's see what it thinks it can do. So I get the feeling, yeah, it's just going to simply look in there. Yeah. Okay. That's okay. So let's go back. Where's my back? Is it Alt back? Go to, there was like a keyboard shortcut. Jesus. Okay. Oh, here we go. So file utils. How do we use this guy? Get. Let's just go to our game menu where we're defining this, and let's look at that Cocos2d file utils, and let's see what it's got. What's happening with this guy? He's got some static methods. Add a search path. We should probably do that. We should definitely do that. Let's just see what the app delegate did. Did it add anything to the search path for us? This is the app delegate that was created in the by the Python script when it created this project. Let me just look back here. Problem loading file. That's great. Let's see. Fonts. Hello world. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Like it didn't put, the only thing I can think of is maybe those resource files were being copied during the build process. I don't really want to do that right now, where you actually move the resource files to your build output. At some point, but anyway, I will go back here and I'm going to cut this out of here and we'll actually do it in the app delegate. Did enter. Where's that finish loading? So here we go. So director, OpenGL view, register. So as long as we do it before we load our scene, add search path, and it takes a string and front false. So I guess we can push it to the front of the path so it checks there first. I just want to look at what other file utility options we have. So a bunch of gets, set default resource root path. That might be a good one. So let's do that. So we need to pass in a string. Yeah, string. And we know that let's try this. So up resources. I think that's our name. Resources. What's the error? I'm going to stop debugging here. Const string path. So std string default path. So default path. Why would you need a reference to that? Like, do you really want a reference to what am I doing? Does it want a C string? That'll give you a reference. Not the one you're looking for. Let's just set and I'm going to, since we're doing this, should probably look at the file utils. So file utils for Cocos2d-x. Let's see how that works. So let's get an idea. Yeah, let's see some examples. How to update file utils. Let's have a look at that. Oh, it's empty. I'll get the cached. So file utils get instance. Get instance. Let's try that. So that's giving us a pointer to file utils. So I guess this is what I want to do. So set, where was that again? Where the heck is that? Set default. So if we compile this, I may have to traverse up one more, but let's see. Resources. Loading. Why would it give me a empty file path? Yeah, that isn't looking good. Get file path for file name. Shoot. Yeah, okay, so app delegate. Damn it. Let's see here. Get instance, set default path. And let's look. So get instance, get file data. Jeez, go away. And set default root path. That's when I change that. And all the resources rebuilding. Let's see. Set default resource root path. I mean, if I do an and then if we go to game menu, let's try this. Well, I'll do this for now until I figure out what I'm missing. So that's the location of where that is. Still null. The hell? Hold on a sec. I'm just going to turn on some music.
Here we go. 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 Push.
Okay. So why wouldn't that load? Because that is the path. Training repo tests, resources, image. Oh, not loading, it's image loading. That's my problem. So finally, now we've got a texture. I'll run this, but now I want to go back to, so if I cut that, image loading, and our app delegate, training repo test resources as the default path. Now let's see, we should be good. Yeah, okay, good. Okay, so simple enough. We've got that started. Now we need to add some menu items to this guy. So let me see what I want to add here. Game menu. I want to add obviously the background, and let me just see here. Logo, no, we don't need that. So here we go. I've got sprites for the menu. Not slider. S image menu. Where's our menu? Let me see here. F12, go to definition. Button sprites.png. Okay, that'll do. So we'll use those guys. And yeah, so one will be for selected and one will be when it's not selected. So it kind of has a bit of movement to when we push it. So go back here. So I'm cheating a little bit because I have the coordinates on my old game where I used these buttons. So I can go ahead and we'll set the background. And we will I suppose I should follow convention. To be honest, I don't like this convention, so I might just do this. That's clearly an issue. You know what? Who cares? I'm just going to move this as a literal into the function call. So now std buttons, we know our buttons are button underscore sprites.png. And hold on one sec. Taskbar settings. I don't want to group everything together here. Cool. Okay, so that's their sample. We don't need that open. need stream running. I do, however, need to get some music going. Not All right, so, okay, good. So let's create some sprites. So we got sprites.png in the image folder. So I better make sure I include image. So and I could auto this as well. And you know what? I'll just auto this. So we need a new game button. So we'll do the normal. Then we'll do the selected and the deselected. So from here, you've got normal, selected, even though it doesn't, there's maybe a slight bit of change, and then deselected. So when it kind of comes up after being pressed, so it just gives it kind of you know, a bit of animation and interest. So how do we do that? Sprite, same idea as the background. But we need to pass coordinates in because it's in a sprite sheet. So let's just look to see what options we got. So we can pass in the rectangle. So that's what we want to do. We want to pass in the coordinates of the sprite sheet. So for example, if I want this sprite, this little chunk here, I would say the name of the file. The name of the file is going to be on all of these buttons we create. But the rectangle is going to be like, so it's 0x, y is going to be 200 and something. I've got it written down somewhere here. I'm going to pull it up. And then the size, and then the height and width as well. So you'll see what I mean in a sec. So create. And what did we want? So we want buttons. And then we have to create a rectangle. So Cocos2d rect. And look at the options for rect. So we want this for sure. Just want to see. So that's copy and good. So we want this second overload, which takes the X and the Y, the width and the height. So the X and the Y again is the X and Y where it is in the actual PNG. Now, we'll assume this is like 0, 0 right here. So we want the rect to say 0, 0, and then the width and height, we want the width to be, let's say it's 150 pixels wide. I'm just throwing it out there. And the height's going to be, 50 pixels high. So what this rect is going to do, it's going to actually draw this kind of virtual area, and it's going to take out of this sprite sheet just that snippet of image. So then we get, the purpose of having sprite sheets is to have just one PNG that you load as a texture instead of having to load 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times 3 or 18 individual sprite PNGs for each one of these guys. So it just reduces overhead. Okay, so 0, I've got the coordinates here. So 0, 0, 210, and 53 high. That seems about right. So we'll create our new game normal, selected and disabled, and then we'll add the rest of the buttons after we verify at least this button's working. So this is 53. So this is our X and our Y. You can see we're jumping by 53 each time because we know each button has the height of 53. So you kind of see a bit of a pattern. And 53, I guess we can just multiply it by 2. And 210 by 53, because they're all the same size, the button. We're just simply moving the location on the main file itself to grab a little snippet. So, okay, so we've got selected, normal, and disabled. Okay. So now we should create a menu item for these guys. Create button sprites for menu. Create menu item for our new game button. So assuming things haven't changed too much in Cocos. Suppose I should I really should just do a using namespace on that Cocos2d because I hate typing. For Cocos2d is if I created classes that had the same name as Cocos2d objects, like I created my own sprite class, because then they would conflict. But I don't, so we can just use using namespace. And now you can leave the namespacing scope in, but because I keep forgetting to add it, I might as well just do this. So I'll change this to auto. I want to make sure I've got menu item sprite. Cool. So we'll call this our new game. And we will menu item sprite. And let's just see. Item. Let's see what we got here. Item for sprite. So we need to pass in our normal, selected, and disabled sprites. So let us see. I just want to look at the members of this class. So we'll jump down to our init might be the place we want to be. Init with normal sprite. We'll look at that in a second. Menu item sprite. That would be constructor node. Probably not going to be a set. So those are properties you set after the fact. We're looking for something to create, so bear with me. And if I don't find it, I guess I'll have to look in their help documentation to see what the members are now for this kind of thing. But I'm assuming init. It could just very well like a table of contents, you know, or an index somewhere where I can know what's coming up. I got to go through everything. Sequences, no. Clone, no. Build, no. No, no, no. Maybe. There we go. We're getting closer. So these are things that you put, menu items. Here we go. So menu create, menu image item create. Oh. And a selector for a menu. That's really just a function pointer. That's going to be your, it'll just be a function that handles when a click is made. So I think we want this one. So we want our normal selected and disabled. So let's just do this because this will be the location, I believe, of where the function pointer or the click handler, the on-click handler for when you click on that menu item. So let's just see. I think there is a, here we go. So there's a free function here. I just want to go have a look at him. It's not even a free function. It's a macro that is going to go here. And it's going to go here. Static cast SEL menu handler. A pointer to what we pass in. That's lovely. Selector. A pointer to. Yeah, so this is good. Here's our function pointer. And it's taken by ref this object. So let's go back. So what should we call this? I guess we can just call, you know what? I should define it in here. So this will be our new game click handler. So we should call it void on new game. Sounds good. Let's just implement that. I just want to get this kind of going and then I'll tweak it. So create the definition. Now I should be able to simply go game menu. And we want to reference that function. So what did I call it? On. What did I call him? Sweet. Invalid type conversion. Well, that is a pointer to the function. Let me just see. Menu selector, CC menu selector. What am I missing? What am I missing here? I need to. Definitely we're passing in something. This guy should really take in an object. So let's just look at the document again. So since we're here. So we've done this. It expects CC callback. I did menu selector, menu callback, and this. Okay, and then let's look at menu close callback. See if they've defined it in code. I don't want a lambda. We could, but I'm not gonna. Menu close callback. Just want to see if it says what arguments it should take. Well, this guy's getting ref star sender. So let's look. It's running right now. I might as well turn this off. Okay, so I don't even think that's going to resolve to anything. Let's just go Cocos2d and let's just find a generic object. And can I update? Change signature. You know, I don't trust that. I'm just going to do this. Okay, app delegate. Oh, sorry, CC menu. Life seems good. And we'll plop in the actual function that we're going to call when that's done. Let's hope that resolves it. It's going to create std bind. The first argument, which is the pointer to the function. The second one, which is the this instance. Placeholder one, and then variadic arguments, which means you can just pass in as many arguments as you want as of C++ 11. So menu item image create. got buttons being passed. I thought these were created okay. I thought I tested them. So you can see that's a null. That's a null pointer to a sprite or a texture that contains the sprite. So clearly this isn't resolving. Image, buttons, sprites. Button sprites. That's probably button sprites. Jeez. Still didn't help me though, did it? Got an instance back, but there's a texture there. Yeah, we're okay. And a rect. Yeah, and our rectangle for that text. Yeah, I think we're good. Okay. Let's try a null pointer. See what that does. Where you could disable the button and then it would show kind of that darker color, I guess. This guy down here. Oh, anyway. Cool. So that works. You know what, guys? I'm just going to take a quick pause. And I'll be right back. I just got to let my dog out. Okay. I'm back. Good. So we got that menu item. We got the menu click. So let's go ahead and create. We're going to have to create our game layer. Because that's what we're going to need. So let's go ahead and game layer. So go ahead, add a new item. So this is where all the magic's really going to happen. Location, shoot. I hope I wasn't putting my classes in here. We want it in classes. I'll have to do a little bit of cleanup on this project anyway. Oh, game layer already exists. I already started that last video. Okay. So game layer, scene, init. And we didn't get very far, did we? Okay. So let's go ahead and work on this guy. So I'm just going to look at what I got going on here, and we should have a look at scene. So definitely scene can't return null pointer. We're going to have to return something. But first off, we're going to have to add some stuff to this scene. We're going to have to add some layers to this guy. So game layer scene is, we'll just create a blank scene. So we can go auto scene is equal to scene. I'm gonna, so scene and create. So we've got our scene. We need to push this onto the scene. So we can go ahead and we can go scene, and we can add child, and we can get this as a layer, because game layer is a Cocos2d layer. And we can simply create that. Should be good. Let's just see what the overloads are. Oh, that's good. And we'll return the scene. Okay. So what else do we want to do? So we want our init as well, because we got to init everything. We got to load our images for this game. So we've got our virtual bool init. So we've got our init. So what are we going to do? 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 Well, we need a new player, and we need some bad guys. I may not do much with this layer yet. Maybe I'll create the player class and the bad guy class, and then I can add them to this. I guess for now, though, we'll just say to do. Load player and I guess level stuff, whatever that might be. For now, though, I guess I can create the background, so I might as well create a sprite. And we'll just use the same background that was on our menu layer. So sprite, sprites, create sprite frame. With name. Yeah, that must be from a resource file. Oh, this is what we want. And oh, I lied. Create sprite. I think just create. I was ahead of myself. And then we'll pass the file name. And the file name is going to be the same as the game menus file. So really, I'll probably refactor a lot of this stuff where I create kind of a static class, kind of like not a base class, but just a class with a bunch of static methods that simply is used to hold textures in memory. So instead of reloading all of these, recreating textures all the time, which can really bloat and slow down your program, we can just pull it from a static instance somewhere. So background image loading. Just want to make sure that's the right image again. Image loading. And what is the other one? Maybe there's a game one. I had a game background. Loading. Overlay. That's the player. Power-ups. This, which is the game layer itself, an instance of the game layer, because he's a layer, right? He inherited. The cool thing about Cocos2d is it's just like you create something and you're just pushing like children onto it. Z order. We definitely want the Z order to be low. We can just say like minus 1000. And that way it will be const SD string name. This is a string to identify the node easily. Please return. I guess we could define a name, which would be like a tag name. Just call it background. You know, I'm not going to do that yet. Maybe we need it, maybe we don't. So why put it in there? Why put it in there? Okay, so we've got that. We've got the child. I kind of want to add that overlay because I remember noticing it there. And we can make its opacity 0. Yeah, you know what? Okay. So we added the background. And what I want to add next, I'll show you. Add blood overlay. And that is that. So overlay.png. So we set the opacity to 0. So it's completely transparent. You won't see it on the game when we run that frame. Or when we run the game. What we do though is as we take damage, we will slowly increase this so that this becomes a bit of an obstacle for you playing because you know you're hurt, right? So it's kind of like blood in your eye. I don't know. I've seen it before on games, so why not? Let's add that. So we need a sprite. Or auto keyword, and we'll call it overlay. Just exact same as above. And image overlay.png. this a child. And this guy we want to be above, I think, everything. As far as I can see for now, it'll be definitely above. Definitely above the player and the bad guys. So we can add that. FYI, guys, I'm only going to go for maybe another 20 or 30 minutes at the most. It's getting a bit late here, but I'm going to kick this up again tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. And I think I'll be on a roll then, because I'm kind of shaking the rust off of this. So I think we'll be rolling a little better tomorrow. In scope throughout the life of the game running, where we'll have a menu option, like we can go into the options of the game and turn off music, and then we'll just check here if if the music is off, and then also we'll add a slider so that in the global options of the game you can set the music to be fairly light or fairly loud, right? All right. So we added our menu, we added our button into the menu, and that button is going to, when clicked, call this function. So on new game click, we're obviously wanting to start a new game. So we create a new scene. That scene, we push our game layer onto it, and then we push that scene onto the director. So it's showing that scene. So it's actively showing that scene. And then the game layer, all we're doing is putting a background on and a transparent overlay. So let's restart. So I wonder if I kind of borked things with the Z order, because I'm not seeing the background on here. And what did I name it? Game background.png. Game background.png. Well, let's remove that. And it could actually be the overlay that's blocking it, but it should be transparent. Okay, well let's debug this. It's clearly something with my Z order and maybe the overlay. Actually, I'm gonna put a breakpoint on there and make sure we're actually going into this. Aha. So I'm gonna undo my Z order. So, bool game init. There's our game layer. Now, let's just make sure I still have that breakpoint. Okay, let's try it again. If you divide 1 by 60, you would get 0.017. So an update method, if we add an update method, that update method would get called every 0.017 seconds. And that's important. So once we start creating the movement, then for sure we need to do our update methods. So just thinking, should I add more menu items? Probably not. We can probably maybe start with doing this, so we can actually create a player. And all I'll do is maybe load up those sprites. Okay. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay, let's add. We'll just call it player.h. So we can go ahead and define this. So we should include, definitely, we'll include a Terrasic. Thanks for the follow. I can't really hear. I took my headphones off. My chat overlay isn't working, so I don't know if people are chatting. Sorry if you are. I'll fix that. I'll fix that another day. And I don't really notice the follows either because I'm staring on one monitor hacking code. So apologies if I missed anybody. But I appreciate the follows. Okay, so class and player. So this is going to extend just sprite. For now, we'll just use sprite. That's fine. It has all of the methods that we need, such as update and draw. We can, yeah, this is good enough. This is what we need. Our player is a sprite. So let's just think of this here. So I know for sure I'm going to want some actions. So actions are kind of actions in Cocos that you can create to do a certain, like a movement action. We'll do that. But we're going to, there's going to be quite a bit to this guy. Yeah, let's go ahead. We'll just create our constructor. There's going to be quite a bit to him, but we definitely, okay. But we know we're going to need our init. Remember virtual, so you remember the virtual, that will allow us to override, okay, one of the a method in your base class or a base class below this base class. And in this case, it is going to be init, which returns a Boolean value. It takes nothing in. And we will need our, yeah, well, this will be good for now. So we've got to create these in our class file. I didn't even create a class file. Sprite with frames in it. So a bunch of sprites inside of a frame to create kind of a sequence, to create some sort of animation of our player, of our character. So we're gonna have to load up. We're gonna have to load up. Let me just look at player. There we go. So this I think I created like years ago. So I don't remember what I did, but it looks like I created this in Texture Packer. So the plist will store the coordinates of how to slice out all of these different images to put into a texture, or the whole thing will be a texture, pardon me. And then what we do is we just simply say, I want a sprite off of that texture, and you pass in a rectangle, and the rectangle will have a coordinate where its origin starts, like let's say right here, and then it'll have a width, and it'll have like a height, and we'll just snag this little green guy. So I need to it's just player PNG. I think so. Player. I think we're okay. I'm just gonna have a look at this plist. Should just be some gross XML. Right. So these keys will give me my sprites. So I just need to remember. I'm going to go to the documentation. So I don't even know where this documentation. I think I passed sprites, didn't I? But I kind of want to see. Creating scenes. Did I pass it? I want to get this. And player. Okay. Let's just look at that again. Sprite sheet cache retains the sprite frame objects. Okay. Let me just see here what I can do with this sprite cache. See what it has for some static, or what am I thinking? I need the, oh, you know what? I don't need that anyway. What am I thinking? So get sprite frame by name. Awesome-ish. So I can get player underscore red underscore one underscore PNG, for example. Or I could say player underscore blue. Yeah, okay. You just make sure that makes sense to me here. Sprite frame by name. What does sprite frame by name do? It's deprecated. Exactly. So get sprite frame by name. So we'll use one of those keys that was in that P list. It's going to return back a sprite frame. I don't know if I need to use that right now. I'm just trying to get my bearings on how we're going to animate this the best way. So we can use actions and we can repeat forever. We can repeat forever the actions by name red. Let me just look at that P list again. So we got red. Okay. Okay. Bear with me here. since he's a sprite, we can add him. Is I want to get a vibe for the sprite cache. Watch out, Cookie, sit. Okay, where did my hair? Oh, yeah, that would help. So return true so we get no errors. Oh, I bet you I forgot my crate. Let's try it again. Pattern of Cocos2d-x, which init is, I'm pretty sure init's always used on pretty much anything. Should be used, well, you know what, maybe it's because I'm instantiating it. What am I thinking, right? I mean, player should be created. Get a vibe for the sprite cache, so when I start up tomorrow morning, here we go. So life is good. That p list, we should have a texture. sprite frame cache. I need to know how to use this the best way I can. And I think it will be creating Cocos2d action. So let me just peek at the actions, and we'll see if, let's just have a look. Okay, so we've loaded that. So what does this do? So we got back a sprite frame based on that key. So that's cool. What I'm going to have to do is probably loop through all of the sprite frames based on color. So the purpose of our game is the player has three different colors associated to him, and he's going to randomly change to a different color. And so how that works is when he's green, for example, he can attack only the green enemies, the bad guys, and like eat them up, because it's like a cell, like it's like cancer, like you're eating cells and stuff. And if he's red, he can eat the red bad guys. And if he's red but he eats a different color bad guy, he takes some health off. And then they chase you and the whole dealio. And there's other stuff to it, I guess, too. But that's the general idea. So I'm going to probably pull out all of the frames for each one of the colors and put them into an action. So action. I want, this is what I want. Action. Finite, no. I think we're getting close. Let me just see. Action. Well, let's just jump into a document to look at the actions and how to work with those. Sprites, I think, will be all right. Okay, so there's an action called move to. This one's called repeat forever. So create. Timmy HXD, thanks for the follow, man. Yeah, so this is going to take an action interval. Action interval. So let's go back to here. So these are like moving actions. I don't want the moving, I want to repeat the sprite so it looks like, because we control the movement of our player. I just want to, what I'm going to do is have an action that keeps repeating forever, and I'm going to push Like if he's green, we're gonna push these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 green sprites in. And when these guys repeat together, you'll see it kind of reflects movement. Looks like one of those little, what are those little balls with the electricity in? You touch it, and the little zappy lightning goes to your finger. That's what these pretty much look like. Okay. So, oh, maybe here. Animate. It's possible to do some simple flip book. Yeah, it's kind of like that. I may need to combine and animate with the repeat forever. So I probably will, you know what? That sounds right. I think that rings a bell. So I will create, we don't need to create our sprites because we've got our sprites inside this cache. So it holds like all of the sprites defined in the P lists. But I need to pull out each sprite for a certain color, push it into a container. You can see this vector. And I'm gonna push that container onto the animation, and then the animation, yeah, hey, this is exactly what I want. Sweet. And then we're gonna push the animation to the repeat forever. Cool. So yeah, that's awesome. This is, I could actually copy. Okay, might as well. All right. I'm gonna close down pretty soon, but I'll do a few of these. And so let's go ahead, and I'll just include my vector here. So I need to use a vector, and we'll just go auto. I'll just define it. That way I can explicitly define my sprite frames. Just to confirm, I get back a sprite frame pointer. So that's what this vector is going to store. And I'll just call this red sprites. Okay. I mean, I could go ahead and reserve. Yeah, all that reserve is doing here is it's just making sure, like a vector is just like an old C style array. It's contiguous memory, right? So the memory has to be beside each other. Actually in RAM, there cannot be like blocks of memory gaps between your array elements. So this is just saying make sure you assign 12 of those blocks of memory so you can store stuff in. If you don't define that, what happens is the vector will be created with, I can't remember the default amount of blocks, memory space, the elements. But if you push too many elements onto that vector, eventually you go beyond the amount of reserved blocks, memory blocks. And if you go beyond that, then what happens is a bunch of overhead occurs where it's got to resize itself. So what it does, it creates basically a new vector, resizes that new vector to make enough space to hold these new memory or elements. And it basically moves each one of these guys into those new elements and then removes the old vector. So it's a bit of a performance pig if you don't do it right. So he's doing the right thing to reserve, but for now I don't really care. I'm not here for And when do we want to run it? Well, yeah. We're not going to call this last line. We would call that in our game layer. When our logic says we've turned red, or the player is now green or blue. So we would do that once we add our logic. And all I'll do is I'll use this. And right now he's a private, but yeah, I'll figure it out. At least it's being stored. And it shouldn't be too difficult for us to use. Cool. Cool. So I'll run this just to make sure everything is working okay. Okay. Yeah, everything seems to be working okay. Our game layer worked. It pushed a player onto the game layer. So the player is there. It's just the player isn't rendering. The sprites are getting created and stored, but they're not actually pushed to anything. You know, they're not actually being displayed anywhere. Because this is just a player. So anyway, that's it for tonight. I will definitely be up and at it tomorrow, 10 a.m. Mountain Time. I will now look at in Visual Basic. You can write all the language or only in C, C++. Yeah, for this game engine, I don't know if you're still around there, Sheo Specs. Yeah, VB, sorry dude, VB isn't going to cut it for this. In Cocos2d-x, the game engine, you can only use C++, Lua, and there's one more language it outputs to. I can't remember what it is, but we're just doing C++ here. Why Visual Studio? Well, I hear you, dude. Yeah, the reason is because the machine that I stream on is kind of like it's my Windows machine, but it's really boot camped from my Mac, from my iMac. And the reason why is because I thought teaching C++ on a Windows machine using Visual Studio would probably garner the biggest audience versus me doing it on Xcode on my Mac. But I would be a lot faster if I was working on Mac, to be honest. So yeah, I'm almost questioning why Visual Studio. Anyway, thanks for joining me, guys, and I will hopefully see you tomorrow. If not, these videos will be in the archive. So have a good night, guys.